Welcome to another AriasWave update. So in the previous market update, I did talk about that green dotted line being the same length as wave 3. Okay, wave 3 right here, there. Okay, so if you're thinking why it's suddenly hit that level and started producing a corrective pattern, it's probably because people are measuring stuff, right? And there's a lot of people out there who probably do know the waves in their own way. Okay, but there's a few things that I use to determine where we are. And in this particular case, it's just basically driven by the waves. And this is my current count. Okay, now, yes, it's changed recently, but I'm sticking with it because, simply put, there's a lot of other factors on other markets and including the US dollar that's sort of signaling that we are coming toward the end of the trend. Okay. Now, this is a much larger term trend. It's not just the type of small term movement that we're talking here. We're talking about a really large and long drawn out trend that's been going on in the Nasdaq since probably around 09. And it's just interesting to note a few things on this chart. Okay, so I've left most of the labeling the same, except just changed the numbers just to numerical. And just want to go over this pattern again, because if I'm calling this wave 5, and as I've mentioned before, we've had basically an overlap between wave 4 waves and wave 1, 2 waves. It's understandable why you would think that it's probably going to go higher, and that's because overlapping waves, they either mean it's a 1, 2, or it's just a weak 5 wave move, right? So now, just interesting to note also, pay attention to this particular trend line that I've drawn here from what I believe is the end of wave 2 exactly to what I believe is the end of wave 4 exactly, and then just wind it back a bit and have a look at this price action that's happened with that same trend line. Okay, I want you to pay close attention to this. If you think that I just draw trend lines out of nowhere, it's not true. But it's sometimes you go back and you realize that these trend lines have actually had meaning for a while, and you see that price has actually really reacted to these channels, or this channel in particular ways, since this basically around the end of wave 3. Well, to me, I drew it from the end of. Actually, I didn't draw this channel from this area, did I? No, I drew it from the top. Okay, so interestingly, look where the wave 4 ended, and look where that wave 4 is. Okay, now that is pretty crazy, if you ask me. Look at that. Look back here, right? Look at that. Look at that, right? All the way up here. Look at this reaction here, here, midpoint, breakout, retest, here, right? Come back in, almost to the top of the channel, here. A lot of interesting stuff there, but that's where I drew it from, the wave 2. Okay, so you can see that these methods, they're not just any kind of BS method of drawing channels, right? So if we are at the end, I'm pretty sure this channel's meaningful in some way. So another thing also, if you go back to look at the end of wave 5 of wave 3, you'll see a very similar choppy wave 5 happening here, right? Very choppy wave 5 happening there, right? So just bear in mind that these patterns can be choppy. It doesn't mean anything, right? This one's actually looking weaker than that previous one because this is the end of the larger trend, in my opinion, in my honest opinion, okay? So in terms of anything else to say about this particular pattern, not much. Let's go to the Dow Jones. Okay, so the US 30 on the FXCM chart is the chart of choice here. Now, I've got a couple of trend lines going here, and I'll explain to you what they are. Okay, I'll just redraw them for you so you can see how I did them, okay, just in case you're wondering if there's a bit of funny stuff going on. Right, so the first trend line, channel, is from the end of wave A to the end of wave E, to the top of wave A in brackets. Okay, this is an AriasWave method of channeling. But you can see that the price action has actually broken down out of this channel. So wave C in brackets is really weak and somebody's keeping this market up. Who is that? It's not the Fed. I mean, it could be anyone really. It could be everybody. Right. No way. It's the Fed. And then I also drew in the 2-4 channel right here, like so, to the end of wave 3. Okay, these are AriasWave methods of channeling. Channeling. Very important. All right, so first of all, we've broken the high, so you could say, yeah, this is done, except one problem. You haven't seen the final high for wave 5 yet. Very interesting. So as we zoom in quickly to have a look, we haven't seen a new high above wave 4 price action. So therefore, we cannot say that this is a completed pattern. And why is price just doing that there? Okay. So in my honest opinion, I do think that potentially there is a little bit more upside here, simply because, well, actually, we might just see one more high. Given how weak this market looks, it might just go above that area. Maybe, if anything, it'll just make one more high and that's it, it's done. If it keeps going sideways until it breaks out of this channel, it'll try and pop up at least once above that dotted line. Because this thing's looking hella weak, and for me to say to you, you know what? It might go up to this area and retest this area. It may not even happen, right? It may not even happen. Because once you see price break down the way that it has out of the channel like this, especially out of that AriasWave AE channel, that's signaling a lot of weakness. Okay, in my opinion, and my opinion only, the AriasWave opinion. Okay, so fair enough. Moving on now, let's go to the US dollar, which is the main driver of all these markets, whether you like it or not. It's the way it is. We have seen a breakdown in price, right? Now, last time I did say that we retested this line here and we're going to go lower. Now, even though our NFPs expected some pretty big numbers, we did see that those numbers were obliterated, expecting about 700,000 and got 200,000 roughly. You know, it's all by design. This is just a game of numbers and social mood, right? Just playing with the markets is fun. That's why I learnt the waves, right? That's why I created AriasWave, because it is fun. It is fun. It is fun. My members love it. So definitely they are loving this price action. Okay. So we need to see a break below that magenta line down at wave 4 around this area here, this line here, to basically confirm that wave 4 is broken. But you can see that it's already fallen out of that trend line. It's already starting to, what I believe, make a 1-2 pattern, which ended, I believe it's around here. I'll just make this one bigger so you can see it. All right, that white line, I believe that's where wave 2 ended. Wave 1 ended around, roughly around there. So expanding correction to the downside, to me, simply signifies weakness in this market. So we'll see what happens here. I do expect this to just go straight down like this. Okay, so there you go. There you have it. That's the AriasWave opinion. Now, let's go to Bitcoin for a moment. Okay, so interesting. I read some comments where people just love to, leave pretty cool comments most of the time, but sometimes they leave really pathetic ones. Trying to call this a scam. This is not a scam. Okay, just because you don't know how to read the waves does not make something a scam. All it does is basically display what you're feeling inside, and it's probably you're probably thinking not long, maybe short. Okay, and if you're thinking not long, maybe short, then maybe you should just think about learning the waves. Because so far we've seen price action actually go up the way I have been telling you it's going to since the very lows at around 30,000. I basically during this whole time I said that's it, we're going up. Doesn't have to make a new low here. It can go straight up, and it did. Okay, it did. So if you don't understand that, go back through my videos and have a look for yourself. I did actually go through each one of these waves as they happened and basically mark them all out clearly so you could understand them. And if you don't follow, then I suggest you do follow because you will understand a lot more moving forward. All right. So on top of this, I did say once we break this magenta line, basically, back before it happened, we did see it break and we have seen price action a bit choppy, but it never went back below the magenta line and especially not back below critical support. So that's support at the red line. Okay, so as you can see, this thing is going up. It ain't stopping until it hits $94,000. In my opinion only, I am not a financial advisor. I suggest you do your own research, and if you don't know the waves, please learn them and don't make a fool of yourself. Okay, so over to XLM. We have broken the magenta line, and everybody has been waiting for that. Well, the members have. So now they've seen it happen, and now they can start to believe a little bit more about the process of elimination using the waves. When certain things happen, they happen for a reason. Sometimes price action can get a little bit choppy, right? And a little bit slow and weak, right? But that doesn't mean anything at all, right? In my previous idea, I did give you an example of when this has happened before. Now, I will return to that example again, just to illustrate that this happens. It's not unusual at all. Okay, so this is the Aussie dollar, right? Now let's go back to when it was wave 2 back in around April, May 2020. Okay, we saw the E wave. Same thing happened. Okay, now I had another look at this and it was pretty funky. I still believe it is pretty funky, but look at that price action. Right now, these waves can get choppy. It's just the way it is around these areas. You can drill into the lower degree and figure it out, but sometimes you just need to be patient. When these areas occur, it's better to just wait and see what is going on. Okay? Right? 33535 potentially, right? It's not always clear at these areas. That's why we have the support and the magenta line. Okay? Same thing with XLM. All right, we'll go back to XLM, back to the hourly, back to the where we are. All right, and oops. And now that we've broken the magenta line, that means that we cannot go below the red line. Okay, so critical support for this idea is at 32,291 on the Capital Com chart, right? So, I mean, you've been observing my ideas since basically every time I post them, right? And you have an opinion, right? Now, if your opinion ends up being wrong about my work, then you need to just really take a look at yourself and check yourself first before you go opining on other people's work, because it just really just shows that you don't know what you're talking about, right? And you make yourself look pretty stupid. Okay, so just try to learn the waves if you can. It's something that you will always use and will make you money. Okay, so right now we continue the uptrend. Okay, there is no downtrend here, and the waves had made it pretty obvious across a bunch of charts. Right now, there was another comment, someone saying, markets correlated, blah blah blah, this and that. Well, yeah, they are mostly correlated. Everything's usually against the US dollar. True. But when it comes to tops, I have also mentioned that there's a delay between when the stock market tops and when the currencies top. Okay, so if you missed that point, you need to understand that when the stock market tops, it can top earlier than, for example, the euro, right? Just go back and have a look at the history of the Dow Jones tops versus the euro tops, and you will see for yourself what I am talking about, okay? But usually they are correlated, but they are not correlated exactly, right? They're not a mirror spitting image of each other. It's not that way. There's actually a different pattern going on in the stock market versus currencies, okay? So it's just a matter of understanding that and learning the waves. If you do understand that, you will be better off than most people are when they don't even understand where anything is going except in the direction they're currently trading against until it stops working. And then if you don't know when to take your profits, you will lose your profits. Okay. So have I told anybody to take profits on XLM yet? No. Right. All I do is revise my count and make sure that I understand that we still haven't seen wave C in brackets, which is underway now. So what is the target? Well, if this support remains for XLM, then we are looking at the same length of wave A in brackets. Let's go to the daily. That would take us to $2.50 for XLM. Okay, $2.50 for XLM. Now, that to me is pretty much in line with a lot of stuff going on right now. The US dollar has taken its time to start moving lower. So to me, it's no surprise that this move towards the end of C wave in brackets is just getting started. So yeah, there's more to come, and stay tuned for further updates. I'll catch you on the next one.